happy Sunday. I'm going to try and make this quick because I have the same problem with videos all the time. Just a quick disclaimer of the lesbo chucker hair. It's complete mullet length. I spent 5 hours the other night attaching some dreadlocks, and I had a joint and I couldn't follow the instructions on this tutorial, so I had to keep winding it back and looking at it. It was like the fucking Krypton factor. I wasn't dexterous and practical, and it took me fucking hours. And then I finished it and I was like, yeah, look at this is cool, I've got dreadlocks, I've always wanted dreadlocks. And then I couldn't sleep because they were too heavy in my head, and the more I looked at myself in the mirror, the less cool I felt. And then I went for a wee in the middle of the night. There's a mirror next to the toilet, and I just looked across, saw this big head of fake wool on top of my pointy white face, and it was a moment of both, you know, it was a horrendous but hilarious moment. It was like, it was a moment for me. And I caught sight of myself in the mirror, and after my heart dropped, I started laughing, and I was laughing for a couple of minutes, like quite loudly in the middle of the night. And then the laughing turned into cries, and I cried for a little bit, and I couldn't sleep the rest of the night. And then I went to the shop in the morning. I thought, be brave, you can rock these dreadlocks, because they used to be quite trendy back in the day. I used to actually pick clothes and stuff instead of just wearing stuff. And yeah, and so it was the most uncomfortable 20 minutes of my life. I couldn't look at anybody in the eye. I felt like everyone was laughing at me. I was like, no. So I spent hours taking them out. So wasted money, time, effort, energy, all in the name of vanity, and it just didn't work for me in the end anyway. So fucking hell, lessons galore this past couple of weeks, and I've been sitting with this tricky energy, and by that I never mean external, it's always internal. It's how is my chemistry sitting within my body, and different things affect that, and people know different parts of the puzzle. Some people know about the nutrition and the food and urine therapy or whatnot. Some people know about QHHT or the emotion code or magnets or tuning forks. You know, there's different ways. What I'm aware of that affects me is what I watch on the internet, and I always say consumes because it feels like that to me. It's what you consume into your mind. I don't know anything about the belly, but I know about the mind, and I feel the differences from information received, and that doesn't matter what it is. I think we've all got our own internal discernment bells and bullshitometers that click off for us throughout different things, and I think it's all part of this journey of rebuilding a delicate paradigm after your old one's shattered. And it's the hero's journey, and rada-da-da-da-da, like I'm always saying, you know, but it's like the upgrading of the DNA, all these things are relevant. I just don't know if we're understanding them all in the same way, and so that's the exciting thing about where will our general mass consciousness take us, where will the manifestation be for the next realm of reality, I guess. So it's super interesting, but I watched the Joe Rogan, Alex Jones podcast. That was so heavy as well. It was like 4.5 hours of heaviness from 100 different angles, and what it just felt like to me was it was like a living version of the comment section on YouTube, where people are just shouting and screaming, and they're desperate for someone to believe in their paradigm, their individual inner ideology, which is, you know, it's what you do at the beginning of your awakening. You're sort of desperate for someone else to be in your paradigm, that you force your reality bubble onto them. And I think that's happening at a mass level, and the unravelling is apparent on YouTube, and we're all just going through these new realizations, and conspiracies are woven in there, and the flat earth's woven in there, Mandela effect. What I noticed on Joe Rogan, and I noticed this quite a lot, is the labelling of schizophrenia and how that sort of relates to things. What I feel like is being quashed by whoever is freedom of observations, freedom of speech, it's quite often labelled as conspiracy or nuts talk, when quite often a lot of the flat earth stuff that intrigues me is stuff that's observational. You know, you watch some guy go up, put an infrared camera filter on his camera, all of a sudden you can see 700 miles across what looks like a flat plane, and so that doesn't correlate with science's Earth's curvature calculator. That just doesn't, and so let's talk about that. Why is that? You know, other anomalies with the eyes and the fact that it looks and feels like we're on a stationary place and everything else revolves around us. 100 other things, but why can't we just talk about instead of labelling each other and trying to throw our knowing and, you know, belief onto others? So it was very interesting to me, the whole thing. But there's, you know, the agendas to me are kind of self-perpetuated. Like, I feel like everything kind of is, and there's spiritual warfare even that you experience, which is real, I think is all within as well, and it's rife on the internet where keyboard warriors can hide behind faceless, nameless accounts, and hi, for some reason it just cuts off. So, and I've got no storage space apparently now on all devices, so I'm just going to add short ones onto it. I don't even know where I got up to. I'm uploading that first bit now, because the kids will be back in a minute, and this happens to me every time I try and talk. I'm not even joking. But anyway, don't know what I was saying, but I was looking at some things because I'd been following Quantum of Conscience, and he was talking a little bit about 9/11, and I couldn't listen to it before I'd seen the footage myself. And I'd seen the footage back in the day, 2001, when it happened, but I was a 15-year-old kid, it wasn't ingrained in my memory. So I watched this CNN half-an-hour thing, and I saw anomalies and things fell off, and I was like, oh, fucking hell. You know, I didn't want it to be that easy for me to believe in anything, you know. I've always stayed away from these types of things because I feared that they would have an impact on an individual's psyche. And I think they kind of do, the conspiracies, but I think that it's almost a stage of an awakening or a downloading of information or a awareness of darkness, I guess, that is necessary to go through on the soul's evolution, on the journey, and the trap is not to get stuck there. And so I think, you know, like, we're trapping ourselves by forcing and enforcing and, you know, shouting about our knowings, our ideologies, our beliefs, all over the internet. It's a warring ground. The division is rife between groups that are supposed to be on the same side of things as well, and it's like, where's all the civil discussion? You know, that's what we're missing. Why can't we as grown-ups have a chat about things that don't make sense to a huge portion of society, you know, or a small portion of society, whatever? Why can't Joe Rogan talk about the idea that space is fake? He wouldn't allow that chat to happen the other night on his podcast, which was very unfair, because that's part of the Earth is flat philosophy, I think, in my understanding anyway, which is, without understanding yourself, easy to label someone then as a complete fruit job who doesn't believe in anything and everything's fake, and then it starts getting linked to schizophrenia, which Joe Rogan was talking about as well. So it's a real mucky ground, and that's why people don't like speaking out, and they like hiding behind the keyboard and, you know, bashing others and trolling people and whatnot. So it's an iffy ground, but I didn't like the fact that Eddie Bravo wasn't allowed to sort of go into that, because from my feel, the whole idea of that, where it sort of sits in with me, is the idea that, no, of course it's not fake. We see it, you know, we see the stars, we see the moon, we see the planets through telescopes, we see it all revolving around us, and we cannot comprehend how people can know such things like distances of planets that we've we would never be able to go to or see, or, you know, it's like, this is where sort of the science and the imagination, and, you know, we're told these things by NASA, and if we question it, we're made to feel like complete nutters, or conspiracy nutters, or schizophrenics or whatever, and it's like, don't really need to be that. It's like, for me, I don't want to delve into these deep things because I feel like they are traps. It's all for us to delicately build our own paradigm back once the reality before has crumbled and shattered, and that's part of the cycle as well. So just be careful, be mindful of what you allow into your mind. And that doesn't have to be conspiratorial things. It can be anybody chatting. It could even be me now, you know. It's like, if you're not strong and you're not always reflecting inside, and you're living your life online through everyone else's ideologies or opinions or subscriptions on YouTube or whatever, you're missing the point. And I have to keep reminding myself, what the fuck are you doing? Stop looking at someone else's story and start focusing on your own. It's like, I've always felt that life was like some exciting novel that I'd written, I was the author of and the star of, you know, and I still feel like that is metaphorically what's going on. So sometimes it's exciting, and sometimes we want to be the detectives, and we want to delve into these things and connect some dots, and why the fuck can't we? You know, we're getting suppressed, we're getting labelled and suppressed, and blocked walls and cognitive dissonance, and that's to be expected because you can't enforce your opinion on someone else. But let's just gracefully accept our own opinions and everyone else's, and just not force it all down each other's throats, because nobody knows. And if anyone claims to know, they immediately go down in my in my expectations. Like, nobody knows anything. We're gradually understanding more and more. The more people start talking about their own experiences, and you know, it's just an interesting place to be. We just need to stop the hatred and the division. It's on all the flat earth stuff. It's horrendous, full of trolling. You'll get probably one comment in 200 which seems like someone who's out of the dualistic, fear-based mindset and into a lighter place. And then on rhesus negative stuff, you've got rhesus negatives warring between themselves about what flavour of rhesus negative the fucking Shroud of Turin is. And it's like, that it doesn't matter, nobody knows, you know. It's all internal truths and knowledge, and what we're going to do with that, and it's just ridiculousness, the amount of forceful knowing opinions which are plastered onto every video on YouTube, and we're not allowed to speak about anything. It's like, for me, space, we've never as humans been above a certain level. The moon landings look fake. I don't need to look into anymore. If they're telling me that's real and I can see that it's not, then there's something up. I don't need to get all dark and paranoid about it. You know, I just need to slot that into my own psyche, what that could mean. And it doesn't always have to have a sinister agenda either, or reasoning for it. I've managed to weave some other ideas in which have a less sinister nature. My point is, for me, we're on some sort of flat plane by my observations that's not moving, whether that's a realm in a simulation with, you know, multiple ones slotted onto the other ones. Who knows, you know, the multiverse, or whether we are actually on a flat earth with a dome above us, or a firmament, or if there's some pressurized system. We as humans can't get high enough up to physically see, touch and be aware of what is out there. I think everything is within, inside and also without, inside this enclosed system, and that includes aliens for me. I think aliens are different pockets of consciousness. I don't think that they're physical beings. I think they get less and less physical the higher up they get in terms of realms or dimensional light frequency and code. And so I don't think they're physical beings. I don't buy into space in that respect at the moment. Things could change, but it just seems that it's mainstream, not conspiracy anymore, that aliens are real. We're all waiting for, you know, there's the Donald Trump's deep space program or whatever it is. There's all the Corey Good stuff. There's, you know, and for me, it's understandings of internal higher consciousness, which is all within this plane, this realm, you know. It's all here. Everything that ever was and ever will be is all here. And So it's just strange to me that we can sort of take this as mainstream almost now, the idea of aliens, and even simulations, but we can't even question things that we see on the earth in terms of flat earth anomalies or questioning reality or conspiracies like 9/11 or whatnot. I'm just going to show you this quick video, and it was when I watched the 9/11 clip, and just watch top right hand corner of this screen, and it looks to me like a holographic projection, like a holographic plane or a drone or a blimp or something flying towards the screen, the angle of viewpoint, and I can't explain it. The second plane's just hit the second tower. This is live on CNN moments after it happened. And what is this?
It's hard for me to tell exactly which is the north side and which is the south side, but it appears it's coming out of the north side there.
There.
Incredible pictures.
You see that?
Just moments ago.
I'll do it again because I think the reflection is a bit bad.
Coming in
Somewhere up here.
like the east side, and it blows into the building with the flames and the smoke billowing out the other side of the tower. It's hard for me to tell exactly which is the north side and which is the south side, but it appears it's coming out of the north side there.
There it comes. What is that? What is that wobbly translucent whale? So it's just things like that, constantly questioning things like with your eyes and what's wrong with that? Let's have a chat about it. Oh, that could be this or that could be that. But there were so many anomalies on this 27-minute clip, this live CNN thing. I was like, oh, okay, don't go into that anymore. But, you know, the fact that we can't just chat about it with a light heart and a bit of humour and understand that we all have our own realities, and it's a very complicated thing that none of us know about, related to consciousness, quantum fields and mental health and, you know, amongst other things. But I just feel like the spiritual warfare also is from human to human, projecting their shadows that they've not healed, and enforcing their viewpoint on others, and with that comes cognitive dissonance and accusations and labels. So we're doing it to ourselves, really. I feel like that is it. We're the aliens. We're all doing it to ourselves. Everything is not quite understood yet. Maybe one day we'll get there, but I'm just winding back again because I'm very aware of what sort of is designed to be imprinted into your mind in some way. You know, in a negative way, I can feel now straight away my internal discernment turns me off many different things, including certain music or tones or frequencies, people's messages or visions.